Shalom. This is One returning with another study. And this particular study is more like an exhortation than anything else. This is looking at Psalm 91. I will do these occasionally, not very often, because I do have my plate full with many other studies. But, there comes a time when we need to step back and remember who we are serving, who the Most High is, that no matter what comes down the pike, that we have Him to protect us. We have Him to call upon. He is our refuge and our strength. He is everything we need in this world of darkness. We dwell amongst devils and demons. Okay? We are surrounded by darkness. So we need Him now more so than ever. If there's a time that we need Him, it is now. Because the devils are running scared. They know their time is almost up. They know that He is getting ready to regather His people. So you know what they're doing? They are scampering around and creating all manner of chaos and confusion and fear and terror. But the Most High told us that we shall not fear. We shall not walk on in fear if we trust in Him, if we dwell in Him. So we're going to look at Psalm 91. This is the Psalm of protection. And we're going to see what He tells us to do here. So in verse 1 alone, he who dwells in the secret place of Ha'olayawan, that word there is our language, called the Most High, shall abide under the shadow of Hashaddai, the Almighty, because that's who He is. He is the Almighty. There's none above Him. There was none before Him, and there will never be one before Him or after Him. Before He was, He is. And before He is, He was. So He's saying here, anyone who dwells in the secret place, He has a secret place for us to dwell in. And He said, shall abide, meaning you're going to be dwelling under the shadow of Hashaddai. So those are two layers of protection already. You have Him and His shadow, and we'll be dwelling under His shadow. So in order for the enemy to find us, they got to go through Him and they got to go through His shadow. And you know they can't get past Him. They can't get past Him. So they're not going to make it to the shadow, and they definitely then will not make it to us. So that's why He said, dwell in me. Dwell in me. I will say of Yahweh, verse 2, He is my refuge. He is my shelter. That's why He said, come and dwell in me. Because that's where we seek our shelter. That's where we are kept safe from the storms of life, from the darkness around us, from the devils around us. Okay? That's where we are going to find our shelter, our safety. And He is my fortress. Fortress, there's a stronghold. And what is a fortress? Back in the early on days, when they had the castles were like fortresses, and they were built out of thick stones, And when you fitted these stones together, there's nothing that can move those stones with the exception of an earthquake or bulldozer, but they didn't have those in those days. But a man couldn't push a fortress down. I've been in a few fortresses that were built back in the day. And these fortresses were made strong to resist attacks. They had many different ways to protect those who were inside. They built a moat around with a drawbridge. Once you pull that bridge up, there's no way for anyone to cross over to get into the fortress. You had to come by invitation. Because if you came by invitation, the bridge will come down, you can walk in. Then you have the gate. You got to get past the gate. You got to get past the guards. You got to get past many layers of security here. And you couldn't just storm the fortress with weapons, either like arrows or spears, because the way how the windows were built, they were quite narrow slits. The soldiers can look out because this was the protection around the middle portion where the royalty would dwell. All right? So around the middle portion of the fortress, well, the entire area is called the fortress, but in the middle portion, that's where the royal family or what have you will dwell. But around them, they had a wall. And in this wall, it was where the soldiers slept and they kept watch. So that's another layer of protection. All right? So these soldiers now, they're posted at the four corners and all around, they're patrolling. And these walls had slits. All right? They didn't have glass windows like we have with, the hinges and stuff. No. Maybe later on they did, but back in those days, they had these tiny slits that were slanted at an angle so that the soldiers, when they saw the enemy coming, they can shoot their arrows, but the persons down below could not shoot into the fortress. And it always had a high wall. And this wall was very thick. That's why even after a few earthquakes, because I saw the fortresses there in Israel, after a few earthquakes, you still have the foundation intact and some of the portions of the fortress intact. And you can actually go up and go in and walk around and be utterly amazed. I will see if I can find, if I still have pictures of them. If I have pictures, I will post them. All right? But it is the most beautiful, amazing building. And when it comes to protection and the feeling of safety, yes, you will feel safe in there. But Alahayam Yahweh is saying that he is another kind of fortress, because he's a fortress not built with hands. But he's portraying here his strength and his power against anything or anyone that dare rises up against his people. As long as we dwell in him, there's nothing no one can say or do against you, because he will fight your battles for you as long as you dwell in him. Alahai, my Alahayam, in him will I trust. So that's how we enter in to the secret place of Ha'olayawan, is through trust. You're trusting in him to be your shelter and to be your stronghold. I know in the churches they talk about strongholds being a place where the enemy dwells, or like he can build a stronghold in your life and it becomes like a curse onto you and your family and what have you. But stronghold, just like the word judgment, can go both ways. Yes, it offers the idea of strength and power, but whose strength and whose power? Yes, the enemy could have his strongholds in our lives, which are the curses. But Alahayam Yahweh, he too can be a stronghold, a place where we can be safe and protected because of his power and his might. That's why he's called Hashaddai, the Almighty. That is his name of power. Verse 3. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare, from the trap, the plots, the calamities. The enemy today is constantly plotting against us because he doesn't want us to walk in the light. He wants us to be in darkness where he is, because that's where he can control us. But once we walk in the light, he's like, we got to get these people out of the light and back into darkness. So he sets traps. He sends calamities our way. But the Most High, he will deliver you from the plots of the fowler, who is the trapper. Who is the trapper but Satan and his minions and his agents, his earthly agents and his fallen angels and the demons and devils and unclean spirits. He uses them to try to trap us. They're all the fowler. And from the noisome destruction, the noisome pestilence, and that noisome there is destruction, ruin. He wants to deliver us from the calamities that would lead us to ruin, from destruction. And that word pestilence is a strange word, because the root word for pestilence is dabar, and dabar has to do with speech. So he's speaking of the kind of plots, the calamities that comes from the mouths of the wicked. They come to you with threats, cursing you. That's all pestilence. Noisome pestilence, destructive words, destructive speeches. They have nothing nice to say to you. All negative and wicked. This is the way of the enemy and his agents, even the ones he employs here on the earth. But you got to see through their words and know where those words are coming from and rebuke the spirit behind those words and realize that they have no power over you. They never can and never will, as long as you dwell in the secret place of Ha'olayawan. Verse 4, he shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings shall you trust. So when you think of feathers, you think of a hen covering her chicks to protect them from the storms of life, from being prey. Didn't Hamashiach said when he prayed over Yerushalayim, oh, how I would have gathered you like a hen gather her chicks under her wings, but you would not. Meaning you would not succumb to me. You would not submit to me. You wouldn't come to me. And that word here, wings, although he speaks of feathers, he's also speaking of the corner of his garment. So that's the place where he wants to hide us. He's using the corner of his garment to cover us. That brings about a shadow where the enemy can't find you. Imagine he's using his own personal garment to cover you, to protect you. And he's saying, and under his wings, under the corner of his garment shall you trust. He wants us to trust in him because it all comes back to trust. Don't believe what your eyes are seeing, because the enemy knows how to play tricks with our eyes. Seeing isn't always believing. And don't always believe what with your ears either, because Satan and his minions are liars. But what we can trust in Alahayam. He will give us the truth. And he will help us to see past the facade of lies and deception. That's what he's good at. That's what he does for his people who trust in him, who believes in him. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. Trust is one word. Truth is another. Trust is one word. And now we're on to truth. All right? We're on to truth. And this is how you learn to trust in him, because of the truth. You learn truth. How do you learn truth? By getting into his word and allowing Ruach HaKodesh to reveal to you what is hidden in his word. All right? So his truth shall be your shield and your buckler. So again, what Alahayam here is portraying to us, this entire psalm is giving you a picture of battle and protection from the battle. Fortress, refuge, snare. And now we have shield and buckler. What is a shield? A shield is what a soldier will use to protect his body, because it's a large instrument of protection from the arrows and from the spears and even the sword, depending on what kind of combat it is. But it protects your entire body because it is enormous, it is large. But then you have the buckler, which you attach to your hand for hand-to-hand combat. So that's definitely for the sword. But that's for close combat. So what he's saying, that his truth now is both your shield to protect your entire body against the arrows, the spears, and maybe a sword or two that come flying your way. But it is also your buckler, because when the battle gets close to you now, you have that as well to protect you. You have two layers of protection here: shield and buckler. So you have your shield in one hand and your buckler in another. So you're protecting from the arrows with one hand, and you're protecting against the sword or a knife or a dagger in the other. That's what his truth does for us. Verse 5. You shall not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flies by day. So you see, now we see the arrow that is coming. So let's deal with the terror by night first. That's dread. That's fear. You know, there's some people that are afraid to go to sleep at night because they have no peace, they have no rest, and they have nightmares. That's because they're being taunted by the enemy. And so they're afraid to close their eyes. I know people like that. They're afraid to close their eyes. They can only sleep when it's daytime. But when nighttime comes, then comes the demons to torment them. And so there's no peace. So what he's saying, once you have truth, the demons can't come and torment you at night while you sleep, while you're supposed to be resting, because you're resting in him. All right? And for the arrow that flies by day. So you think that the enemy sleeps. He does not. He is constantly roaming to look for an opportunity to attack you. And he loves to attack us when we are at our weakest. And if we are not at our weakest, then he will send some arrows to try to find a weak spot. And then he'll work on it. That's why we need to check our armor constantly. And that armor that we have is truth. Remember, it's also our shield and our buckler. So of course then it has to be our protective armor, our helmet, our breastplate, everything, to prevent the arrows that the enemy loves to send our way, to find that weak area in our armor. If it happened to bypass the shield or the buckler. And sometimes what we do, right? We let our hands down. We let our guard down. And then we become like a sitting duck for the arrows to find their way to us. And those times when we let our hands down, we let our guard down, are the times when we stop praying, we stop worshiping, we stop studying the word of Alahayam. We have got to be in the word I wanted to say 24/7, but as frequently as you can get into it, but definitely not just once a day. You got to be in the word steadily. Let it be your way of life. Especially now in these last days. We got to spend time in the word of Alahayam. All right? And we got to study to know the truth for ourselves, because we got the devils out there that are plotting against us. And you know he is the father of lies. And he could easily persuade us because he is the father of lies. His tongue is slick. And He knows just what to say to us to tantalize our brain, to draw us away from the dark, from the light, and into His darkness. And that's why if you have truth, truth will stand up and say, no, 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 no. Be aware. That's a trap. Speak this word against that evil word. That person comes to you, all smiles. Immediately something in your spirit stands up. And in your heart, you start rebuking them. And you walk away from them because you realize that they are phony. They are there to bring calamity to you. Not everyone that smiles at you will be with you. That's how the enemy wins your heart, with a smile and a kiss. Remember what Judas did with Hamashiach? Did he not kiss him on the cheek to betray him to the soldiers and the religious people of his day? Be careful of people that try to draw close to you, especially if they're not of the brethren. And even if they're of the brethren, make sure that they're speaking the same language, because they may look like us, talk like us, but they don't walk like us. Be very careful. The enemy is slick. And that's why we need Ruach HaKadosh in our lives. And He will stand up. Truth will stand up and let us know that, watch out. Verse 6, nor for the pestilence that walks in darkness. Pestilence, again, is the same word, dabar, speech, destructive speech, threats, curses. And you know words don't walk, but people do. These are people that walk in darkness. And they bring their wretched words against you. Be careful of that. Be careful of people that open their mouths against you. Don't have anything to say to them. You just pray. You just pray and let the Most High deal with them. He shut up the lion's mouth in the den with Dana Yaal. He can shut them up too. He can wipe them off the face of this earth. But He uses them to refine you. All right. So when these people of darkness come with their words, their destructive words, you keep hiding under the shadow, because you see, the enemy can't come to you where you're at under the shadow of Hashaddai, but he wants you to come out to deal with them. You see, this is his tactic, to draw you out from your shelter, to draw you out from your fortress, get you to react and say, gotcha. You come out to talk to me. Because once you're under the shadow of the Almighty, He will instruct you, don't say anything. There are times when you have to fight and rebuke, and He will let you know when those times are. But if you are on a path and He's leading you a certain way, the enemy knows, okay, we need to get this person out, and we need to draw them out as quickly as possible. So let's send an agent to say something to them. All right? Let's send someone to draw them out with words. Be careful of words. You know, there was a poem back in the day. I don't know if the children today still say it. Wait, the poem was sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is a lie from the pit of hell. It is. Yes, sticks and stones may break your bones, and bones do heal. But words can destroy quicker than sticks and stones. Destructive words, because it goes into your heart and your mind, and they're played over and over and over, so that you now become sabotaged. Your safety is sabotage. You sabotage yourself. All right? You sabotage yourself. Why? Because you react to the words that were spoken to you yesterday. And you're still having a reaction many days after. I know there's some people that can't forget words that were spoken to them. And they recite these words at the drop of a pin. They rehearse these words. And those words are the source of their hurt. And they can't seem to let go of these words. And the words now become like a crutch, an excuse for them to be how they are: angry, bitter, weak. It becomes a crutch. This is who I am. I can't be any better. Don't expect me to be any better. This was done to me. That was done to me. This was said to me. All right? But that's exactly where the enemy wants us, to be crippled by his words. And he sends his agents, his earthly agents. It could be family, friends, strangers, who knows? Anyone that he can use and and avail themselves to be used, he will use them against you. That's why it's important for you to pray in the morning, pray throughout the day, pray at night. Don't stop praying. Don't stop getting into the word of Alahayam. Because that word helps you to remain in his secret place. Still on verse 6, nor for the destruction that wastes, that devastates at noonday. So you see now how the enemy does not stop. Morning, night, noonday, he is constantly working. He does not sleep. He does not rest. Because he's trying to find a way to draw you into his darkness. All right? That's what he's trying to do. And you cannot let your guard down. Yes, there are days when you don't have a choice but to let your guard down because you're going through such rough things. And those are the days when the Heavenly Father comes and he himself will lift your hands up to keep that protection going. And then he will wrap you in his arms. I remember when my mom passed away. It was very sudden, very painful. And I thought I would never recover from her death. But that's what the enemy will lie to us and tell us. then I felt, um, yes, I felt sad. There's nothing wrong with feeling sad and crying and mourning. That's all part of getting past the hurt, the pain. That's part of the healing. All right? And I remember saying that I would never smile again because me and my mom were very close. But I'll tell you this, every night that I put my head on my pillow, he would wrap me in his arms and I would sleep the sweetest sleep ever for the entire time until I regained my strength. That's how he is with his children. Not once, even for the entire time that I was grieving, he would wrap me in his arms. It was like a nice fuzzy blanket, nice and warm and cozy. And when I wake up in the morning, it was like I'm so refreshed. It's almost like, was that a dream that my mom passed away? And then reality hit. No, it is real. Because my sleep was so sweet and I was so comforted in my heart and in my spirit that when I woke up in the morning, it was hard to believe that my mom had passed away. Thought that was a dream. And this is what he does with us when our hands grow weary and heavy. He comes then and he lifts them up. Do you remember there was a time when Masha was sitting on a stone and he had to keep his hands up? And every time he kept his hands up, Yashraal was winning the battle. But the minute his hands dropped, then the battle was against Yashraal. And what did Ahawaran, yeah, that's his name, Ahawaran, and I forgot what the other person's name was. I believe it was her or something like that, came and lifted up his arms and kept them up for the entire time until Yashraal destroyed their enemies. Sometimes we need help to keep our arms up. But he is there. We don't need no one to come and hold our hands up because we got him and he got us. He's the best person because when you're sleeping, look, a man or a woman has to go to sleep. How are they going to keep holding up your hands if they got to go and sleep? Now I'm being literal here. But our Heavenly Father, he does not sleep or slumber. He neither slumbers nor sleep. That's what he says in his psalm. And that's why when we sleep, he's still working in protecting us. All right? So the enemy doesn't sleep. Verse 7, 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. 1,000 what? 10,000 what? Words, people, arrows, trials, temptations, what have you. The whole lot. The enemy sends his tactics, his plots against us. And this gives you another idea of a soldier fighting and the bodies of the enemy that he's fighting against, they're falling at his side and his right hand. All right? The right hand there, righteousness. When we are walking in righteousness, we're walking in truth, we're trusting in the Most High, and we're dwelling under the shadow of the Almighty. We have his shield and his buckler, which is his truth. All right? And now all these things that the enemy sends against us cannot find where to land. because we swoop them away with His word, with His truth. The light that emanates from us, which is truth, causes them to be destroyed. They fall dead at our feet. He said, at your side and at your right hand. They fall dead. His plots, they fall dead. His arrows, they fall dead. Words, wicked words, threats, curses, they fall dead. Can't come near you. And that's why He wants to draw us out from our protection. Verse 8, only with your eyes shall you behold and see the reward of the wicked. He wants us to know and see and understand that He's going to destroy our enemies when they come out against us. We're talking about the earthly ones now. He's going to deal with the devils themselves. But the earthly agents that are being used to come against you, you will see their destruction. Didn't that happen with our forefathers back in the day when they crossed the Red Sea? Didn't they look back and they see the soldiers, chariots, and everyone drowning? Right in the middle. Right in the middle. All right? But He said, with your eyes, only with your eyes, shall you behold and see the reward of the wicked. And you see that word reward is just like judgment, is just like the other word stronghold. Reward there is not a good thing. But reward can mean a good thing. But for in this verse here, it is talking about payback. So they're going to get reward, they're going to be rewarded for their wickedness. That's not good. They're going to be destroyed. That's their reward, destruction. Verse 9. Because you have made Yahweh, who is my refuge, my place of safety, even Ha'olah Yewan, the Most High, your habitation, the place where you dwell, there shall no evil befall you, neither shall any plague come near your dwelling. So no matter where you go on this earth, as long as you dwell in the secret place of the Most High, you trust in Him, you believe in His word, you walk in His word, the enemy will come against you. You might feel a little rattling. You might feel a little shaking. But he can't draw you out unless you respond to him. And like I said, there are times when the Most High will say, yes, I want you to fight this battle. But many battles, he said, this one isn't yours. This is mine. I'll deal with this one. And I'll deal with that one. He'll let us know when it's time to fight. All right? But he said, no evil shall befall you, and no plague come near your dwelling. Those wicked people that we are surrounded by will not come against us. And look, I'm hearing some serious reports of how our people are being treated. And this is our fault, because we will not come out from amongst these people in these cities. And we still want to live like how they're living. Many of our people, they still want to live like how the Gentiles are living. All right? Instead of getting their house in order. We're seeing an escalation of racism. And right now, the way how the police are, they don't care. They don't care, especially if it's against our people. They don't care. So listen, the only protection we have today now, and the only protection we should have and should have been looking toward is the Most High. But we trust in chariots, we trust in horses. That's what one of the Psalms say. Some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but we trust in the name of Yahweh. We got to trust in Him. That's what this whole scripture is all about, trusting. But if you want to continue on living in this world like the Gentiles and doing the things that the Gentiles are doing and ignoring Ha'olah Yawan, then yes, destruction is coming at your doorstep. We're living in some dangerous times. Verse 11, for he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. They shall bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And these were the two verses that Satan quoted when he was tempting Hamashiach, when he placed him upon the high pinnacle. He quoted this because he was hoping that Hamashiach will come out from under the protection of his father and believe in his words. You see, and he's using scripture too, you know. He's using scripture. And you think that just because a man is preaching a word or a woman is preaching a word and they're reading scripture, that they are of Hashaddai. The enemy, Satan, quoted these two verses when he was tempting Hamashiach, proving to us that he knows some scriptures. And he's not going to hesitate to use scripture to draw you out. And he used these two verses to draw Hamashiach out, but Hamashiach did not bite. He didn't bite the bait. Because Satan is a fowler. He's a trapper. He was trying to trap Hamashiach. He said, will give his angels charge over you. He sends his angels to protect you. As you're walking the street, he got angels walking before you, behind you, and circling around you. He's got you covered. And he will keep you in all your ways. You got to go to the store. You got to go to the shops. You can't hide out at home all the time. You got to still live. But as long as you dwell in him, he will have his angels keeping charge over you. And they will clear the way before you. They will go before you and make the crooked places straight. They will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut asunder the bars of iron. They will bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. When you dash your foot against a stone, that means you're going to fall. You trip and you fall. So he is going to have his angels protecting us so that we don't fall. To bear us up. He has his word to bear us up. He has Ruach HaKadosh to bear us up. So we are not without protection. You might think, well, I'm in this alone because physically you are alone. But spiritually you're not. Look at all the different protection, the different levels of protection you have. the different layers of protection you have as long as you trust in him and dwell in his secret place. All right? Doesn't want you to trip and fall. He'll prevent that too. The enemy placed something in your pathway intending for you to trip. He will send the angels to clear the way. Or if you happen to trip, your foot hit it or touch it or come close to it, they will lift you up over it. That's why he said, bear you up in their hands. As soon as you start to walk towards that stumbling block, they come and lift you up, bring you over it, and you keep on walking. You don't even know that the angels just did that. Because it's spiritual. All right? The enemy intend to trip you up and cause you to crash on your face. But the Most High sent his angels to lift you up over this hurdle, over this boulder, or over this pit hole, this pitfall. Whatever trap he has laid before you, he sends his angels to lift you up and over. Verse 13, you shall tread upon the lion, and that's the fierce lion. That can also mean wicked men. And the adder. And we know adder is a serpent, and these are all attributes of Satan, of the wicked one. The young lion and the dragon again. In the first part of the verse, you have a lion and an adder. Right? We know a lion. This lion here sounds like a fierce adult lion. I know you have the young lion and you have a dragon. A dragon is a snake, a serpent with wings, and they're huge. But he's saying you shall tread upon them. Right? You're going to have them under your feet. You're going to trample them. They're going to come at you with all their venom and their roar. And you're going to trample them under your feet. Why? Because you are led by Hashaddai, and you have his power inside of you. And when you roar, they got to shut up and run away. Or be trampled. Because you're going to keep walking, right? You're going to keep walking. You're not going to stop because they come at you. You see, that's another thing that the enemy loves to do. We're on a spiritual journey. And he sends his minions to cause us to stop. And the Most High say, don't stop. You just keep walking, even if you have to walk on them. Trample them. Because they have no power over you. All they have is a roar. They have no bite. But you got bite and you got roar. And you got big feet too. So you're going to crush them when you start walking. Verse 14. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. You see what it all comes down to? Knowing his name. I've started a series. Well, it'll probably be finished by now when you hear this particular study. The name of Yahweh. It is important to know his name, because if you want to dwell in the secret place of the Most High, if you want to trust in him, if you want to have his shield and buckler, which is his truth, if you want him to send his angels to take charge over you, to bear you up in their hands, all these things that he has access for you if you know his name. Because if you're calling on Jesus or Christ or Lord or God or Alahayam or Yahuwah, right? It's one thing to be ignorant and you're calling on those names, but when you come into the truth, all you need to do now is to hunker down and learn his name. Look at what he said that he will do because he has known my name. I will deliver him. Deliver him from the fowler and the snare, the pestilence, the noisome pestilence, that person that is uttering those curses against you, the terror by night, the arrows that fly by day, the destruction that wastes at noonday, the pestilence that walks at night, the darkness that walks at night, the people walking in darkness that are darkness. Darkness walking in darkness and speaking more darkness. All these things he is going to protect us from. If we know his name. And he will set us on high. That's where he is. On high. That's why the enemy worked so hard to bring us down and bring us out. Verse 15. He shall call upon me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. Look at more things that he said he's going to do because he has known my name. Now we can call on him when we're in trouble. And he said what? I will answer him. I'm going to respond. And I will be with him in trouble. So no matter if trouble finds you or you find yourself, put yourself in trouble, and you call on him, he will answer you and he will be with you, even while you are in trouble. Sometimes when he is getting ready to promote us, he allows the protection around us, the hedge that he's built around us, to come down just a little bit, to shake us so that we can see what's falling out of us. He sends the storms. Well, rather, he allows the storms to find us, the shaking, to rattle us so that we can see what's falling out. All right? And sometimes it is there to just blow out the dead branches. But what we need to take from that is that he has not left us. He has not forsaken us. And we're just going through a period of discomfort because something good is up ahead. He's getting ready to promote us. You think he is going to keep a hedge around us 24/7 to the day we are regathered? No, he got to let the hedge down sometimes because remember, we were born in sin. And we've been living in sin. We have all these roots and weeds that need to be plucked up and plucked out. And what he does is he allows stuff to happen to us, to shake us up so that these things rise to the surface. Because he wants to clean us up and clean us out. But he said, I'll be there with you. And he will let you know whether or not this is something that you have done or this is something that he has allowed to happen to you. Look at what happened to Yawab, who's Job. He didn't do anything, but trouble found him. But the Most High was getting ready to promote him. So he lowered the hedge around Job. and allow the enemy to destroy just about everything that he had except his wife. Even his health was attacked. And in the end, did he not promote Job? Give him better than what he had before. All right? This is what he does to us in order to remove what does not belong there, and so he can plant what he wants to be there, which is his goodness. So it's not going to be a rosy walk in a park all the time. There are times of reprieve where you feel like that. And then there are times when you're in serious battle, fierce fighting. You don't know your head from your feet. You feel like you're walking around on top of your head. You're numb. But he's there as that still, quiet voice to speak to us, even in the midst of that calamity, to say to you, I got you. Though you bend, you will not break. I got you. And that's what happens to trees in storms and hurricanes. How do they grow strong and grow taller and bigger? The storms do that because it forces their roots to go deeper. And so they grow their strength from the storms. And he said, I will deliver you and honor him. Deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Long life will I give to anyone who has known my name, who dwells in me, who believes in me, who trusts in me, who has my truth, and my truth becomes their shield and their buckler. They know my name, they call upon me when they're in trouble. They call upon me, and I will deliver them. These are the things that he does to his people. All right? This is what he does. And show us his salvation. Salvation from what? Salvation from the enemy? Well, we already have salvation when we're hiding under the shadow of his wings, abiding under the shadow of Had Shaddai. But now we're receiving salvation from his wrath. That's the ultimate of salvation, from his wrath. Because we know his name, we have a relationship with him. Okay? So this is what this psalm of protection is teaching us today, that in order for us to receive the benefits of protection, the benefits of dwelling in safety, we have to have a relationship with him. All right? And it starts with an introduction, knowing his name. And then you learn about him and his ways, and what he wants us to do and don't do, how he wants us to live and don't live. This is all part of building our relationship with him. Alahayam wants to have a covenant with his people. And that covenant is one that protects us from the enemy. When our forefathers were in covenant with him, our enemies that were around us were afraid of us because he went out and fought our battles. It's the same thing with us today. He wants us to be in covenant with him. He will be our Alahayam and we will be his people. And how can you be his people? Or how can we be his people? When we walk in obedience to his word. When we believe in his son, Hamashiach, and what he did for us. He died and rose again so that we can be redeemed to the Father. And that wrath that we were once under is rolled away. And now we're cloaked in the righteousness of his son. All right? Now we're cloaked in the righteousness of his son. And that's the ending of this particular study, Bible Studies 101. And we're going to end with the blessing for Yasha'al, taken from Bamadabar, chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. The book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24 to 26. Yabarakak Yahweh, Waya Shamarak. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Ya'ar Yahweh Panayo Alayak Wayachanak. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and have favor upon you. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor upon you. Sorry about that. Yasha'a Yahweh Panayo Alayak Wayosham Lak Shalom. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And now we're going to recite the command that we are instructed to recite when we lie down, when we get up, when we go out, and when we come in. And it's taken from the Alahayam, chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. Shama'o Yashwa'al Yahweh, Alahayana Yahweh Achad, Wa'achabath'ath Yahweh, Alahayak, Bakal Lababak, Wabakal Napashak, Wabakal Ma'adak. Hear, O Yashwa'al, Yahweh our Alahayam is one Yahweh. And you shall love Yahweh, your Alahayam, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And with that, I will say, Shalom, Shalom. All praises to the Most High. Abaya.